Hello again, geeks. I am that gamer guy, and this week we are discussing childhood film fears. And I'll go put the lights on now. I just wanted to make the most of my new Halloween backdrop. And there we go. So obviously it's now October and the build up to Halloween has officially begun. And normally throughout October I watch classic horror films to kind of get me in the mood. But this year I thought to myself, why watch horror films when there are plenty of kids films out there that are absolutely terrifying? So I thought I'd reveal for you 5 family film moments that near enough traumatised me as a child. And we'll start with everyone's favourite, the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Here we are, children. Come and get your lollipops.
Now I have always disliked this film, not just because the child catcher is the screen equivalent of Jimmy Savile, but because this entire film seems to have a feel to it that makes it neither enjoyable for kids or for adults. The child catcher was the perfect embodiment of all this unenjoyment. And speaking of unenjoyment, next up we have the boat ride from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
And they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing!
The whole thing just seems so out of place. We see a millipede crawling across someone's face. We see a lizard eating something. And you even see what appears to be a chicken having its head cut off. And you know what? Nowadays in kids' films, I don't think we see enough poultry being beheaded. Next up we have another favourite, the Wheelers from Return to Oz.
Come here, chicken!
Now whoever designed these creatures clearly looked at the already scary flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz and thought to themselves, yeah, I need to top that. And thus we have not only a scarily bad film, but creatures that look scary, laugh scarily, and scream scarily. And of course, if there's one thing I love in my kids' films, it's screaming. And speaking of screaming, next up we have the Skeksis from The Dark Crystal. Now this film, as the name suggests, is pretty dark throughout and contains many moments arguably too dark for children, including innocent creatures having the life sucked out of them. But even that doesn't touch the horror of the Skeksis. And finally, Jim Henson's at it again in The Labyrinth. Now whilst this film does have a much more family-friendly vibe, there are a few haunting moments throughout. And no, I'm not talking about David Bowie's Snake. There is one scene in particular as a child I did not enjoy, and that is Sarah's goblin story.
I can bear it no longer! Goblin King! Wherever you may be, take this child of mine far away from me!
There's just something about the way it cuts to them that used to make me feel really uneasy.
Listen.
But thinking about it now, David Bowie's Snake is a lot more disturbing. Okay, so whilst those 5 family film moments I think are fairly rational in my fear, there is one more film that many of my friends mock me for finding scary, and that film is E.T. As a child I was absolutely petrified of E.T. And honestly I don't understand why there aren't more people out there that are scared of him. Case in point, in fact, I was so scared of him as a child that I used to have a recurring nightmare about him. In this nightmare, I would be at one end of a long, dark corridor, and at the other end of the corridor, I would be able to hear the noise of something banging around. So I begin to walk down the corridor, and then when I'm near the end, I hear... And that is when E.T. quickly waddles down the hallway and proceeds to stab me to death. Yes, I think I'm probably one of the only people in the world that has dreamed of E.T. stabbing them to death. Now, if this nightmare wasn't bad enough, at a young age I went to Universal Studios in Florida. And at the very height of my E.T. fear, my parents somehow managed to convince me to go on the E.T. ride. Big mistake. Now at the beginning of this ride, you tell the ride conductor your name and then you get on the ride. You then proceed to visit E.T.'s homeworld, where there are lots of little E.T.'s popping up and down and waddling around and generally being terrifying. And at the very end of the ride, there's the main man himself, who's been programmed to say your name. So if my fear wasn't perfectly cemented by now, the sound of E.T. saying, "Goodbye, Joshua," that was the nightmarish cherry on top. So those were my childhood film fears. Please feel free to leave yours down in the comments. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. I also write a bi-weekly gaming blog and have a separate gaming channel, which I'll leave links to down below. And if there's anything gaming, geek or LGBT related that you'd like me to discuss in a future video, then please leave a suggestion down in the comments. And as ever, I hope to see you guys next time. But until then,